Someone is thinking about you right now, and not in a light way, not as a passing thought, not as a memory that comes and goes. You are sitting deep in their mind, in that quiet place they do not show to anyone. And here is the strange part. Even if life says you cannot be with them right now, the bond still moves, it still breathes, it still pulls. If a certain person came into your mind the moment you started listening, do not brush that away too fast. Stay with me, because this is not about fantasy. This is about a connection that keeps living under silence, a connection that feels sacred, intense, and hard to explain. They may never say it out loud. They may act normal. They may smile, work, talk, and move through the day like everything is fine. But inside, your presence follows them. It interrupts their peace. It touches parts of them they kept locked down for years. And before this message ends, you may understand why distance has not ended this, why silence has not killed it, and why your heart keeps returning to the same person again and again. Listen carefully to every part, because one sentence in this message may explain what you have felt for a very long time, but could never fully put into words. The truth is simple, but heavy. A restricted connection does not always mean weak feelings. Many times it means the feelings are too strong for the life around them. That is why this kind of bond feels different from normal attraction. It does not arrive like a game. It does not grow out of boredom, loneliness, or a random crush. It begins quietly. First, you are just someone they notice, then someone they respect, then someone they trust. And then one day, without warning, you become the person they cannot stop thinking about. That is where the trouble begins, because what they feel for you does not fit easily into the structure of their life. Maybe there are duties around them. Maybe there is another relationship. Maybe there is family pressure, fear, culture, timing, distance, or a line they were taught never to cross. So the feeling stays hidden, not because it is small, because it is too real. Stay with me here, because most people misunderstand silence. Silence is not always empty. Sometimes silence is what happens when someone feels too much and does not trust themselves with the truth. They go quiet because speaking would open a door. They hold back because one honest step could change everything. And somewhere inside that stillness, your name keeps echoing, even if they never whisper it where anyone can hear. This person is fighting something every day, and the fight is not against you. It is against what they feel when they think of you. They wake up and remember you before they want to. They replay old conversations in their head. They remember the look in your eyes, the tone in your voice, the strange ease they felt near you. Then they try to shut it down. They tell themselves it means nothing. They say it is only a phase. They try to be mature, careful, sensible. But the more they push it away, the deeper it goes. That is what hidden emotion does. It does not die just because it is denied. It moves underground. It grows in silence. It becomes a pressure inside the chest, a restless feeling, a tension that never fully leaves. Have you noticed how sometimes you feel them for no clear reason? A sudden mood shift, a random thought, a soft heaviness, a pull at odd hours. That is not always your imagination running wild. Unspoken emotions create energy that lingers. What stays hidden often becomes stronger, not weaker. So if this connection feels unfinished, that is because it is. Not in the shallow sense of wanting closure, but in the deeper sense of something real being felt and never fully lived. Keep listening, because the reason this feels so intense is not only about love, it is also about truth trying to rise through fear. They may look calm from the outside, but inside them there is movement in two directions at once. One part wants to stay loyal to the life they know. The other part wants to move toward what feels alive, honest, and deeply real. That split is exhausting. It creates the mixed signals, the warm moments followed by distance, the sudden closeness, and then the silence again. It is not always confusion about you. Sometimes it is the pain of knowing exactly what they feel and not being ready for what those feelings would demand. Because once a person feels truly seen by someone, they cannot unfeel it. Once someone experiences that rare ease, that sense of being known without effort, they are changed by it. That is why this bond keeps returning to both of you. It is not held together by routine. It is not fed by daily contact. It survives because it touched something essential, something deeper than attraction, something that made both of you aware of what real connection actually feels like. And once that happens, normal things begin to feel different. Shallow attention loses its shine. Surface-level love starts to feel empty. Old patterns stop working. If this is reaching you deeply, do not skip the next part, because this is where the real meaning starts to appear. This connection is not only about missing someone, it is also about being changed by what their presence woke up inside you. After this person entered your life, something in you started shifting. Quietly. Maybe you became less willing to accept half-hearted love. Maybe you stopped craving empty attention. Maybe you began to notice how tired you were of pretending small feelings were enough. That did not happen by accident. This bond showed you a new level of emotional truth. It gave you a taste of what it means to feel seen, matched and stirred at a deeper level. Even if the connection is not fully lived, the effect is already real. You now know the difference between attraction that excites you for a moment and connection that changes you from the inside. That kind of knowing does not leave. It becomes part of your standard, part of your growth, part of the new life trying to form inside you. And the same thing is happening on their side, even if they hide it better. They may never speak your name in those private moments, but you have become a quiet measure inside them. A mirror, a question, a sign of a life that might be truer than the one they are currently holding together. That is why the connection feels sacred, not because it is perfect, not because it promises a fairy tale ending, but because it reveals, it exposes what has been true under the surface for a long time. Watch this carefully in your own life. What no longer fits, what no longer feels enough, what changed after them. Those answers matter more than you think because they show what this bond came to awaken, not just what it came to give. Many people think timing is only a barrier, but sometimes timing is also a teacher. Sometimes two people meet when the heart is ready, before the life is ready. That is what makes this kind of connection so painful and so powerful at the same time. You feel the rightness of it, but the road is blocked. You sense the pull, but the path is not open. And because of that, the bond begins doing its deeper work. It starts building strength inside both people. It pushes hidden fears to the surface. It reveals where each person has been settling, hiding, or staying asleep in their own life. For them, the pressure grows slowly. The life they once accepted easily may start to feel heavy. The role they play may begin to feel false. The routines that once gave comfort may begin to feel dull. You are not the cause of all that. You are the light that showed what was already there. And that is why they may fear this connection so much. Not because it is dangerous in a loud way, but because it threatens the image they built of who they are supposed to be. Truth does that. It shakes things. It asks for courage. It asks a person to look at their own heart and decide whether they are strong enough to live honestly. Most people do not answer that question quickly. They delay. They hide. They tell themselves one more day, one more excuse, one more reason to stay the same. But deep inside, the pressure keeps building. That is why you may feel waves with this person. One moment the connection feels almost undeniable. The next moment it seems distant, blocked, or unreachable. One day you can feel their energy so strongly that it changes your whole mood. Another day it goes quiet, and you wonder if you imagined everything. But the movement is not random. It reflects the push and pull happening inside them. They move close in spirit, then pull back in fear. They feel the truth, then retreat into control. They want openness, then hide behind what is practical. And if you have felt torn by that, hear this clearly. Their silence is not your measure. Their hesitation is not your value. Their delay is not proof that what you felt was false. This is important, so stay with this part. A real connection does not ask you to lose yourself while waiting for someone else to find themselves. It may awaken you, but it should not erase you. It may move you deeply, but it should not teach you to abandon your own peace. That is one of the hidden gifts inside this bond. It teaches you to hold strong feeling and self-respect at the same time, to feel without chasing, to know without forcing, to care without collapsing. That is not weakness, that is growth, that is emotional strength being built in real time. And once you learn that, you change. You stop begging life to explain everything immediately. You start trusting what truth has already shown you. What this connection is really doing is waking both of you up in different ways. For them, it is exposing the gap between the life they maintain and the life their heart may actually want. For you, it is sharpening your inner sight. You begin to see what is deep and what is shallow, what is aligned and what is only exciting, what feeds your spirit and what only drains it. That is why people like this change your standards forever. After them, it is harder to pretend with someone who only offers surface words, harder to go back to bonds with no depth, no honesty, no soul in them. This is not because you became difficult, it is because you became aware. And awareness changes everything. Once you know what a true emotional match feels like, even in silence, your heart stops being impressed by crumbs. That may be one of the biggest reasons this bond entered your life. Not only to pull you toward one person, but to pull you toward your own deeper truth. Listen to this next line carefully, because it matters. Not every powerful connection comes to stay in the form you first want. Some come to open your heart, raise your standards, break your old patterns, and return you to yourself. If later it becomes something more, it will only happen when both people can meet in honesty, not in fear, not in half steps, not in hidden corners. Until then, the deeper work remains inside. And that is why letting go feels so strange here. It is not simply about releasing a person, it is about releasing an experience that changed your inner world. You are not only holding on to them, you are holding on to what became clear through them, the way your heart opened, the way your standards rose, the way your soul recognized something rare. That is why logic alone cannot cut the bond. The mind says, move on. The heart says something here is not finished. The body remembers too. It remembers the calm, the spark, the pull, the ache, the almost. And still, this message is not asking you to wait forever. It is not asking you to put your life on pause. It is asking you to understand what this connection came to teach. It came to show you that your heart is capable of deep feeling. It came to show you that surface love will never satisfy you for long. It came to show you that emotional truth matters more than appearances. And on their side, the lesson is just as serious. They are being pushed to face whether they can keep living a life that no longer fully fits the person they are becoming. That answer cannot be forced. Not by you, not by longing, not by chasing signs. It will reveal itself through action when they are ready, or through distance if they are not. Either way, truth always shows itself in time. That is the part you must remember when your thoughts start spiraling again. As time passes, one thing becomes clearer. A person can avoid conversations for a while. They can delay choices. They can act busy. They can distract themselves with work, routine, or duty. But they cannot avoid themselves forever. Quiet moments expose everything. The night does it. Stillness does it. That hour when the world gets softer and the mind can no longer run does it. That is often when they feel you most. When the mask slips a little. When the control weakens. When the life they built starts feeling too tight around the truth they are trying not to face. And if you have been sensing them in those moments, there may be a reason. These bonds often move strongest in silence, when there are no words to hide behind. But hear me clearly. Their inner battle is theirs to face. You are not here to rescue them from their own fear. You are not here to shrink yourself so they feel less challenged. You are not here to live on emotional leftovers while they decide whether honesty is worth the cost. That chapter must belong to them. Your chapter is different now. Yours is about becoming steady, calm, clear, strong in your own center. If this part hits hard, keep listening to the end because this is where the power returns to you. The connection may be sacred, but your self-respect is sacred too. And real love, if it is real, will never ask you to throw that away just to keep a fantasy alive. The more you grow, the more you stop trying to force answers out of silence. You stop reading every pause like a secret code. You stop turning every small sign into a promise. You stop chasing meaning in every little shift. That does not mean the bond meant nothing. It means you are no longer handing your peace over to uncertainty. This is where your energy changes. You become less obsessed with whether they will come forward and more focused on who you are becoming because of all this. You begin choosing peace without denying depth. You begin moving forward without pretending the connection never mattered. That balance is powerful. It is the place where longing stops controlling you. It is the place where truth can breathe without turning into pain every day. And strangely, this is often when the bond shifts again. Because when you stop gripping it in fear, you can finally see it clearly. You can see whether it inspires growth or only confusion. Whether it brings real light or only emotional hunger. Whether it is leading towards something honest or keeping you tied to potential alone. That is why this season matters so much. It is not only shaping your love life, it is shaping your inner life. It is teaching you that deep feeling is real, but deep feeling alone is not enough. Truth needs courage, love needs action, connection needs honesty. Without those things, even the strongest bond stays suspended in the air, beautiful and painful, present and absent at the same time. Even so, nothing about this was wasted, not one thought, not one tear, not one night of wondering. Because a connection like this leaves gifts behind, even before it becomes clear what role the other person will finally play. It gives you stronger intuition. It gives you sharper emotional wisdom. It teaches you not to confuse intensity with alignment and not to confuse silence with peace. It shows you how much of yourself you were once willing to hand away for almost love, unclear love, unavailable love. And now, because of this awakening, you see more, you feel more, you refuse more. What once looked acceptable now feels too small. What once felt enough now feels thin. That is not loss, that is elevation. That is your inner world becoming more honest. And yes, it can be lonely at first, because growth often removes what no longer matches before it brings what truly does. But do not fear that stage. There is strength in it, there is clarity in it. There is a new life being built under the surface. And whether this person eventually steps into truth or stays where fear placed them, you will not leave this empty-handed. You will leave this changed, stronger, less easy to fool, less willing to settle, more able to recognize what is real the moment it enters your life again. That is why this connection carries weight. It did not come only to stir your heart. It came to sharpen your soul. So if you have been asking why this happened, why this person, why now, maybe the better question is this: what has this awakened in me that can never go back to sleep? Because that is the true turning point. Once awareness rises, life cannot return to the old shape. You begin choosing differently, speaking differently, walking away sooner from what is false, trusting yourself more deeply. And that may be the real sacred part of this whole story. Not only that someone loves you in silence, but that through this silent bond, something powerful in you came back to life. You remembered your depth, you remembered your worth, you remembered that real connection is not just about being desired, but about being met with honesty, courage, and emotional truth. If that is not here yet, then the story is still unfolding. And if it never arrives in the form you first hoped for, the awakening still remains. The lesson still remains. The change still remains. Let that sink in before this message ends. You do not need to chase what is meant to become clear. You do not need to force what truth will reveal on its own. Keep growing. Keep choosing what matches your soul. Keep living fully, not halfway. If this bond is real in the way your heart feels it is, then life will prove it through action when the time is right. And if it does not, then life has still given you something priceless, a deeper version of yourself that now knows what real love must feel like. And somewhere, while you are learning to stand taller in your own truth, they are still feeling the weight of what this connection showed them. They may try to call it a passing thought. They may try to bury it under duty, noise, and normal routines. But what changed in them will keep speaking, even if only in whispers. They will feel the difference between living safely and living honestly. They will notice the gap between what looks fine and what feels true. That tension will not stay quiet forever. Something always gives in the end. Either fear wins and they return fully to the life that numbs them, or truth grows strong enough to break the shell they have been hiding in. But that choice is not yours to make for them. Your role now is not to wait at the edge of their transformation. Your role is to keep honoring your own. Keep your heart open, but keep your life moving. Keep your standards high, but keep your spirit soft. Do not become bitter. Do not become desperate. Do not confuse delay with destiny. Let action speak when the time comes. Let truth reveal itself in the real world, not only in energy, dreams, or longing. Until then, trust what this connection has already done. It has opened your eyes. It has deepened your discernment. It has shown you that your heart is not here for anything shallow. And once you truly know that, nothing stays the same again. That is the quiet power of this bond. It may have entered through silence, but its effect will echo through the rest of your life.